What's going on, YouTube? I did say that I wanted to be a little bit more interactive here and say hello to you a little bit more often, and I'm making good on that now. I'm gonna keep it going as long as I can. But today I thought we'd have a little bit of fun discussing the young blood of it all. There has been such discourse around this man, particularly within the rock and metal community, and there have been a lot of questions as to A, where he came from, and B, why he's here and has he earned his spot. There's a lot of debate over all this. You know, is everything surrounding him right now, is it worth the chatter? We're gonna dive into that. So let's enjoy. Let's have a little positive, fun discourse. We're not gonna be shaming anybody here. We don't do that here. But conversation's always encouraged, and that's what we're gonna have right now. So I don't know about you, but I have definitely noticed that young blood is everywhere. I think a lot of us in the rock and metal community especially have noticed that young blood is now everywhere. The man came from the UK, has a lot of success there, has been successful there for a minute. And now I think what's happening is the rest of the world is catching up. And that is a huge part thanks to Ozzy Osbourne and the Osbourne family, really. The Osbournes have included him in a lot of their types of events. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, I know Kelly and Sharon have had sit-down interviews with him. Jack, I think, has had one too, if I'm not mistaken. And of course, we saw him interact with Ozzy at Back to the Beginning. They had a sentimental moment where Youngblood presented him with a cross, which he knew meant a lot to Ozzy. Ozzy, at that point, definitely gave us a window into the fact that Youngblood has been a presence in the Osbourne family and a family friend for a minute. A couple of interviews ago, and I believe this was on Steve-O's Wild Ride podcast, Youngblood did explain that this whole thing started because he met Kelly back in the day, early days, you know, working on music in LA, and they would go out and they would hang out. Is it because they knew the same people in England? Maybe, possibly. We don't know for sure. I'm sure if we ask directly, we'll probably get a yes to that question, but we don't know for certain. But I think that's how this all started. And then we hear Youngblood giving a lot of Ozzy shout-outs. We hear Youngblood expressing a lot of respect and admiration and love for Ozzy Osbourne. And of course, that's going to catch the ear of the community because we love that support. We love that respect. And we definitely want to see somebody like Youngblood, who is young and up and coming, pay those types of respects. It's important. It's important. You don't get the community or the culture without paying that type of recognition to a legend, arguably metal royalty, like Ozzy Osbourne and the entire Osbourne family at this point, honestly. They're a face. They're a name that will never be taken from them. So smart move on Youngblood's behalf to link up with them, show admiration for them. There's been some question as to whether or not any of that is genuine, and I don't have a better answer other than, well, how can there not be? How can there not be some level of truth to Youngblood's admiration for Ozzy? Youngblood has always leaned into the rock and roll of it all. He has always leaned that way musically, aesthetically. I think, if I'm not mistaken, some people knew him as like a Disney kid in the UK. But even then, I think he was playing characters that still had a rock and roll edge, so to speak, as much as you can have one with Disney. But anyway, it seems to be that because this seems so out of nowhere, because it's all very new, because this recognition from such legends has seemingly come all at once in the same summer, that's why there's some question as to whether or not any of this is authentic and real. Again, I say, how could it not be? How could it not be? If Youngblood, I mean, it seems to me, and correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, he's always been a fan of the music. And I would imagine that, like the rest of us, as you become a fan, You understand how important Ozzy and the Osbournes are to the culture. So if he really means that Ozzy is his North Star and Ozzy is a big part of why he does what he does, one, who are we to take that away from him? Two, who are we to question it? Because we don't really know. We don't really know this man's heart. But he's been pretty consistent in what he's been doing, and that's all we really have to go on. Why wouldn't somebody young in hard rock and heavy metal look up to Ozzy? Why wouldn't you? And why would we shame them or call them into question for doing so? I wonder if we're getting a little bit too gatekeepy with some of this. And then I get those questions have been furthered because it's like, okay, now he's, getting some attention for paying respects to Ozzy. Then he's heading, so to speak, a tribute for Ozzy at the VMAs. And other legends like Steven and Joe of Aerosmith are now joining him and supporting him in that. Some folks are side-eyeing that. Are they a little bit jealous? I don't know. Are they jealous? Are they concerned for the community? Are they not sure what to make of Youngblood just yet? My opinion is that all of the above is happening, and that's why this criticism is coming. And is it justified? I think there's a lot more serious things happening in the world than debating whether or not Youngblood is legit. But if you really want to go that direction, I'll just say look at the facts. Facts are the Osbourne family also opened their arms to him. Why would they do that if they didn't actually like him? How hard is it to believe that a young up-and-coming rock and metal musician who comes from the UK as well, why is it so hard to believe that he wouldn't latch on to Ozzy and refer to him as a big-time influence on what he does in his career? That's not so far-fetched. I think we could probably cool it on the Youngblood stuff. Just a little bit. This is an opinion piece, so that's my opinion. We could probably cool it on the Youngblood stuff. Let's see what he does. Let's keep our eyes on this situation, and let's see where it goes, and let's have fun and enjoy the ride. And you know what? The beauty of all this is, if you don't like him, you don't have to. If you don't like the music, if you think what he's doing right now is sus, fine. Okay. If you want to call the Ozzy tribute a Disneyfication at the VMAs, of hard rock and heavy metal, well, it's MTV. It's MTV. They're going to make it mainstream. It's all going to be mainstream and catered to a mainstream audience. What did you want from it? That's where I'm at with this. Let's see what Youngblood does moving forward. Let's see what him and Aerosmith have cooking. That's what I'm especially interested in. And I will check back in with you when we have a little bit more. Let me know what you're thinking about the Youngblood of it all happening right now. Is there too much chatter about it? Not enough chatter about it? Are you with him? Are you going to see what happens anyway? Or do you really feel salty about this? I think we can have some fun, respectful discourse about this. So do so in the comments. I'll see you next time.